This is me, Craig Ferguson. I'm inviting you to come and see my brand new comedy hour. Well, it's about an hour and a half, and I don't have an opener because these guys cost money. But what I'm saying is I'll be on stage for a while. Anyway, come and see me live on the Pants on Fire tour in your region. Tickets are on sale now, and we'll be adding more as the tour continues throughout 2025 and beyond. For a full list of dates, go to thecraigfergusonshow.com. See you on the road, my dears. My name is Craig Ferguson. The name of this podcast is Joy. I talk to interesting people about what brings them happiness. My name is Craig Ferguson. Welcome to the Joy podcast, coming to you here from inside my house. My guest today is a joy for you. He's simply one of the best comedians around, a hilarious gentleman and a deep thinker, the wonderful Antipodean Jim Jefferies, everybody.
You in Scotland now? Is that what's happening?
No.
Is it the Scottish Wi-Fi? It feels like it's the wrong time of day to be in Scotland.
No, it's not. Look, it's hot. I'm sweating. It's not Scotland. What happened was I moved to Scotland for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years. And then I moved back to New York. And now I'm in New England. But I went there because my youngest kid, I wanted him to go to school in Scotland for a little while.
Yeah. Just because it's cheaper than American universities?
Exactly, yeah. It's much cheaper for the young kid. And also there's, not everybody in Scottish schools gets a trophy. So if he didn't win something, it's not like, oh, here's a trophy for your feelings. He doesn't get that. And that, I kind of like that. I wanted him to experience a little of that before he came back to America. Now he's going to American high school. He'll get all of that now.
My eldest boy's 12, and I've already started to say that you want to go to university in Australia, mate, just because it's substantially cheaper, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, here, it's crazy. Let me ask you this, though. There's something. Are you in Australia right now?
I'm in Los Angeles right now. Just the map of Australia makes it look like I'm in Australia because
that's what I thought. I was like,
you go, that, and also
you must be in Australia because of the Australian map.
I'm in the Valley. I'm in LA.
All right, so which is a bit like Australia, actually, if you don't mind me saying so.
I tell you what, I've just postmated for my lunch today. There's a New Zealand cafe up the road, and I have ordered a box of meat pies. So I am the most cliched. I haven't lived in Australia since I was 20 years old. I'm 48 years old now, and I'm ordering meat pies whilst I'm living in America. I've really assimilated, haven't I?
Wait, Russell Crowe eats those meat pies as well. He gets them from that same place.
Yeah, I know. Russell does that. Yeah.
Russell's like, you want to come and watch the rugby and eat meat pies?
I went. He had the All Blacks were playing against the Wallabies in a game, and I went down with Reece Darby, and he had a pie master there making us pies. And it's weird because I think, don't quote me on this, I think that Russell was supporting New Zealand because he was born in New Zealand. And that was, that hurt the heart, because that's the thing about Australia. We're always claiming people that we don't really own,
Canada's bad for that too.
Yeah.
Canada, I remember watching the greatest, there used to be a TV show, The Greatest Ever American and The Greatest Ever Australian, and they had The Greatest Canadian, and it was won by Alexander Graham Bell, who was, from Scotland.
From Scotland. Well, it's Australia had, we claimed Mel Gibson for years, but Mel Gibson actually moved over to Australia when he was 5 because his father wanted to dodge the draft for his sons, not dodge the draft, get out of the country.
Get out. Yeah,
during the Vietnam War. And so he moved his sons to Australia, and he was always Australian. He was in Mad Max. They dubbed his voice with an American accent on Mad Max. And then he goes on to say the horrible things that he said. And he said it's always been American actor. And then he said the N-word, and it was Australian actor Mel Gibson. And I was like,
do you know what happened as well in Scotland? They put up a statue of William Wallace at Stirling Castle, but it was But William Wallace, it was 800 years ago. Nobody knows what he looked like. So they put up a statue of Mel Gibson in Braveheart. Right, and then he said all these things, and they were like, oh, for God's sake. And now it's like, oh, I think he like drew a moustache on it or something. Do you know what I've noticed about Australia? I want to ask you this, because I heard it again today.
when I went to Australia, it's a long time since I've been to Australia. I've never been to Australia sober, actually.
Oh, come to think of it, I've only recently been to Australia sober.
Yeah, I imagine it's very different. But I went to Australia a long time ago, and they were the first people and the only people I heard that used the phrase "no worries." They used to say, "No worries, mate.
No worries.
And everybody knows that they've co-opted it. Everyone's stolen the no worries from Australia.
Oh, I thought the people in the UK said no worries as well. I thought it was a UK Australian.
They stole it from Australia.
Oh, well, it's good. Well, at least we were the convicts before. At least they're stealing something from us. It's all right now. Yeah.
I think what happened is Rolf Harris brought it over in the 1960s. And I think that was
so. To all the American listeners who are listening to this podcast right now, they won't know he was a beloved entertainer from Australia who sang a few really good songs.
Jake the Peg with a wooden leg, two little boys had two little toys.
Yeah, an extra leg and two little boys. We should have seen what was coming.
You should have seen what was coming. Yeah,
he used to get a wobble board and pant. It was his big thing. But he was an amazing artist. He could paint.
Yeah.
Like really quick with big brushes and go, can you see what it is yet? Can you see what it is?
There's a little fella here coming in. I remember all that. Yeah.
So the Brits took him on anyway. He was done for, he was Me Too several times over. I won't get into details because I don't know the exact details. I don't know the details.
But he went to jail. I mean, it wasn't just like,
Isn't he still in jail?
No, I think he's in eternal jail now.
I met a bloke who had no retirement plan, but he'd been buying a Rolf Harris painting every 5 years and putting it away because they kept going up in value, and he's like, these things.
No, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. That's terrible. That's like these Hitler paintings are going to be worth a fortune.
Well, I'm saying that on the stage at the moment is like a lot of people want to go back in time and kill baby Hitler. Not me. I want to go back and buy some of his artwork. Encourage him a bit. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's a good idea.
Put some love out in the world. Send him off into a different direction.
Do you know what I've become, and I don't know if you've reached it, you're a lot younger than me, so I don't know if you've reached the stage yet where you watch a lot of Hitler documentaries. I watch a lot of, I'm covered in them. Actually, the other night, my youngest boy said, "Dad, how did Hitler rise to power?" And I was like, oh, finally my moment has come. It's like cracking my knuckles.
In my new special, I have no less than 3 or 4 Hitler jokes in the special.
Really?
Nothing to. Yeah, you're allowed to joke about him. Anyway.
I think so.
So I wanted to call the special Hitler. I got some pushback from Netflix. It is not called Hitler, but I thought, how many people search that name all the time? I'm searching it all the time. All the time. Anytime there's a new document, if they go World War II in color, you've got me for a week. Then that's all over.
Definitely. Did you see that one where they did the World War I? It was Peter Jackson did it, and he did the restore. My God, that was crazy.
That was the one where they had all the voices over the top going, and I knew I was out for an adventure. That one, yeah.
And all these old soldiers saying, we had a lovely time, actually, apart from the war bit, but the walking up and down was lovely. It was very strange. It was a very odd thing to watch. My great-grandfather was killed in that war. I imagine you probably have relatives killed in that war.
I don't know about World War I. I don't know if I can go. Look, my big claim to fame is that we have some family members that were in the first or second fleet of people. Like that's Australian pride right there. I have convict stock, proper convict stock.
I remember that when I was in Australia. That was kind of like if you had been on the Mayflower in New England, if you had been in the convict stock. So you really are. You go back to the.
We go back a couple of 240 years in Australia, but then for a while there was rumors of my family having Aboriginal heritage, and I was very proud of all that. And then I did one of those like 23andMe's, and it was just Irish and English. I didn't even have Scottish in me, thank God. But I was just Irish, just Irish and English, and like 1% Swedish or something like that.
Yeah, just like somebody bought an ABBA album or something.
That's
back in the day.
exactly
That
right.
was it.
Like a Hanson album, maybe, or
Yeah. Nice. I feel that I would never do the 23andMe's.
A lot of people say because now they've sold the information to the other people. But I look at it this way, right? Like I don't even know why. Like, so those prisoners escaped in Louisiana, right? They ran off a loading bay and they ran out, and there was 20 of them, and they all scattered around, and they caught them all really quickly through facial recognition. We're all being monitored all the time. There's not a crime you can really commit now. I look back at like Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was driving around in the same Volkswagen Beetle every murder and going up to women with a brace in his arm going, "Hi, my name's Ted." And then in every documentary, they go like this, "Oh, he was a genius. He could have been a great lawyer. He could have been." He was a fucking moron. He was saying his own name. Yeah. Everyone was like, "We're looking for a guy called Ted in a Volkswagen Beetle." But how did he elude the police for so long? Just move states.
Yeah. Well, there was no contact. Now though, you're right. Everybody is filmed all the time. But I feel like the 23andMe, if like we were talking about Hitler, if Hitler had the 23andMe's now, that'd be bad. That'd be bad because I mean, look, it wasn't great the first time around. I'm not like I'm saying it was better, but you know, if he has your genetic information on file, oh man.
Yeah, but the 23andMe can't pick up if you're gay. He was genociding them as well. You know, there was a few things, a few loopholes within the structure. You wouldn't want to do ancestry.com and go ancestry.com. Oh, I've got a relative here. We've got a relative in Hitler. Oh
yeah, that's true. I feel like it's nowadays though. I like when I was drinking back because I was part of all my drinking story. When I was doing it now. You got sober fairly recently. Were cell phones around when you were drinking?
Yes, and that was part of the reason that brought me to my giving up alcohol, right? Because they reckon the next generation, the generation Alpha, which is the one coming in after the one that millennials, and then what was the next one? The
Gen Z,
and then the Alpha. They reckon Alpha is going to drink 80% less than Generation X, which is my generation. Right. And they think it's because they say it's because they're more evolved people who it's not. It's that they have mobile phones and that nothing can stay secret. They can't make mistakes because people are always filming them. They're a generation of grasses, right? Who are going to tell everybody off. Plus, they have dating apps, right? When you have a dating app and you can chat to a person for a few weeks before your one night stand. Of course you don't have to drink. We had to go into a dimly lit room where our personality could not come into play because the music was too loud. We just had to stare at women until eventually one of them stared back at us. Try doing that fucking sober. Impossible. No.
I'm really glad I missed all of that. I mean, I got sober. There was barely cell phones when I got sober. I mean, it was still the brick telephone when I got sober. It was no cameras or anything.
When you're a blackout drunk and you'd wake up in the morning and then you'd ring your friends going, "Oh, did I behave myself?" And they'd go, "Oh, you said this to this person, you did this thing," and you're like, "Oh God," like that. You could ring up and apologize to the people or whatever, or everyone just moved on with their fucking day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now there's no. At concerts, right? If you're at a concert. Right, in the old days, we didn't hold mobile phones up in the air. We had a naked flame. A naked flame next to women in the 80s. We had so much hairspray on they could, and wearing polyester. They could have gone up like that, right? But we held this naked flame up there until our thumb got too burnt, and then we thought we'll hold off for a bit and put it back up for a ballot. Right? Now the kids have a phone. Now, if you're at a concert and you're on the floor and there was a woman who was with her boyfriend, she couldn't see the show. So for 2 tracks, she's going to go up on his shoulders. Right? The people behind get upset. Oh my God, we can't see the show. What would she do to reward the people behind? She'd flash it. Yes.
Top off. Yeah.
Everyone was happy.
She's one of innocent times.
She wasn't condemned. She probably worked in some corporate job and moved on with her life. Do you remember? Do you remember streakers?
Oh yeah. Naked people running across sporting events. It was hilarious.
I tried to tell my 12-year-old son what a streaker was, and he couldn't wrap his brain around it. I'd be like, "You'd be at the cricket." I don't know if it ever happened at baseball, but at the cricket it was rampant. If you have a 5-day sport someone's getting naked, right?
There's a lot of day drinking with cricket.
There's a lot of day drinking in the sun. The fine used to be in Australia $200, right? So even in today's money, $600, say something like that. And people around used to be like this, all right, I'll throw in 20, I'll throw in 20, I'll throw in 20. And then they all throw it into a hat. And then the bloke or the woman would run out. Everyone would cheer. In Australia, in the 80s, they used to keep the camera on them. They didn't even take the camera off. They just went, we have a streaker. The players were all laugh and we move on. Now if someone enters the pitch clothed, we think it's a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
We think,
Yeah.
I miss streaking. Bring streaking back.
Streaking figure. Well, let me talk to you about your special because that's kind of interesting. I haven't seen it yet. It's only been out 2 days as of this.
Oh no, I haven't brought out this. When it comes out. Okay, so the special's called Two Limb Policy.
Right.
Two Limb Policy, and it's out on Netflix. And the Two Limb Policy, the name comes from.
You were going to call it Hitler, though, right?
I was going to call it Hitler because I have a few Hitler jokes in there, but we too hard to explain.
I think Hitler is a better name, but I don't work for Netflix.
I know,
ever
but
again, apparently.
I'm not in charge. I got a firm no on Hitler. So I wanted to go Two Limb Policy because I have a routine in there about after the end of my shows, I have a meet and greet with some audience members who pay for the meet and greet. And then mind you, when I say sober, I still partake in weed. I don't drink or do any drugs or smoke or anything else, but I still take weed. As soon as I go to stage, I take an edible, and then I have my meet and greet line of about 80 people. And if you want to talk to me for a bit longer, stay at the end of the line when the edible kicks in because you know you're boring. You know you're boring when someone's paid $80 to meet you and they end the conversation. Anyway, so what I do is on stage is I also offer up. I've worked with disabled people in a sitcom I was with, and I still am sort of slightly involved with.
Yeah, legit. I remember it.
With the disabled community
show.
And all that. Oh, thank you. And so at the end of the show, I say, if there's disabled people in the room, they can also join the meet and greet and have a photo, and I'll have a chat with them as well, so they don't have to pay the $80 or whatever. But I do have a two limb policy because I was opening it up to. to disabled people. I was getting fucking dyslexics and just people who are mildly autistic, and it just wasn't cutting it for me. I couldn't take photos with everybody. You know what I mean? Like a lazy eye is not going to cut it. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I have a two limb policy, and those limbs have to be missing, doing nothing, or doing everything, and that's my thing. And you can mix and match. They can be a leg and an arm. Maybe you've had a stroke. If so, lucky you get to meet me.
You save $80 and you get to meet Jim Jefferies. I think it's almost sometimes worth the idea. Maybe a mild stroke.
Yes. Now that accident you had doesn't seem so bad.
Let me ask you this, though. You're still young, though. You're still in your 40s, right? What are you, 47, 48? Yeah, you're still a kid. I'm 63 now. All I do is worry about what's going to kill me. Right. Like, what is it going to be? Like every lump, every mole, everything. I was like, it's crazy.
Right, I think Bill Burr's calling my age to your age the drop dead age is what he's calling on his next special.
Yeah, it's the red zone. Yeah,
where it just happens, and when it happens, people are like, huh. You know, it's not like as big a tragedy anymore. They will say a little bit too young, but. You know, he ate
lived hard,
and he had a good time, and you know, with each passing year, the sympathy gets less and less for your death.
And less. Yeah. It's Billy Connolly used to call it too old. He did a tour, I think, Too Old to Die Young. And he's not doing stand up anymore. He's 80, 83 now.
John Cleese's tour is called Not Dead Yet or something like that. Before I Die tour, or you know. I guess that's look, getting old is a privilege, you know. I think what you really want in life is for no one to cry when you die. Right? To get to like 100 where people just go, well, you know,
what a life. Yeah, exactly. What a time, yeah.
No one cries at a 95-year-old's funeral. Everyone's like
I've got a friend who's I won't say his name because he goes online and watches podcasts, but he's 95 this year. 95.
Right. You don't think he's going to guess who he is? You don't think he's going to figure it out? Guess.
His name's Pat Drumgoole. He's an old theatre director and movie producer and movie. He's a lovely man, and he's 95. And he said to me, he's very posh, and he said, "My brother." He said, "My brother's very ill, Craig." I went, "Oh, that's terribly sad. What's wrong?" He said, "Well, he's 90, mate, but he's not a good 90. It's not sort of fucking good 90, Pat." But he's an interesting guy because he never got sober. He drinks like a fish. He lives his life hard. He smokes cigars. He does his thing. He eats cheese. He's a little overweight. He just keeps fucking going.
Okay, the oldest human to ever lived to 121 years old.
Right.
I just looked this up the other day, strangely. Lived to 121 years old, French lady. Right? What do the French do more than anybody?
Cheese and wine and smoking. Yeah, right.
Smoked until 121. Smoked.
Well, you're not going to stop at 100. You're like 100 years old, so it's time you stop smoking.
I think you get to a stage where your lungs are coated with a wall that they're actually more of the lung than the actual lung. You know what I mean? She had a flute of champagne on 121st birthday. Like she was going for it. But there's there's 5 people who have lived over 112 or something. All women. There's no men who have done it.
Men wouldn't do that.
It's too much time. Hey, what was your show? I used to love your show. Not the Imposter. What was it bloody called? The one where you're in the room.
Oh, the Hustler. The Hustler show. That was a good show, wasn't it?
Yeah. The Hustler was something I watched all the time. I love The Hustler. It was such a simple concept of figuring out who's lying, who's telling the truth, and all that type of stuff. Is that coming back?
Nah. That was a COVID tragedy, that one. I did 2 seasons of that. Yeah. And then it disappeared somewhere in 2021. But it was a good show. I like doing it. I would do it again. I'm about to do a new game show. You do the game shows, right?
I do a couple of game shows. I do one in Australia, the 1% Club, and I do one that's on Fox right now, which you can watch on Hulu, called The Snake. And The Snake is a similar thing to your show in that you have to figure out who's bullshitting and stuff. But it's a voting game basically. It's
right. The contestants vie against each other.
Well, what happens is, like, you've seen other game shows where you have a voting ceremony at the end where you majority rules. It'll be an anonymous vote. You put it in a bucket, and then they pull out the names, like Survivor or whatever.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
This one, you have a person becomes the snake, then they choose the person to save, and then the next person chooses a person to save, so it snakes down. So you only have to get one person to like you each week to stay in it, but then you can't repay the favor because you've got to save the next person, right? So right, until it gets down to the final 2, and then the snake decide who goes home and who stays. So if you make alliances and you stay in a pact and you go, we'll always save each other, but eventually you have to lose that pact and start knocking off friends because you can't have too big a group because you won't be able to stay in. So most of the game is about the ceremony and the vote and all that type of stuff. But I tell you what, I love hosting game shows. I love it.
It's great, isn't it?
Is there anything better than telling someone they've won $100,000? Right,
which is fantastic. I love it. I've done tons of it now.
You don't have to remember lines like when you do acting, right?
Yep.
There's no having to get coaching from an acting coach or anything to make sure no one's worrying if you have chemistry. You're just there by you're just there by yourself. I would do, and also I feel like it's something you can do when you're 80 and no one questions it.
Yeah, that's right. You can go for it. I'm just about to start hosting Scrabble on TV.
Awesome.
Which is great for me. I play Scrabble on my phone all the time. I love Scrabble.
Do you play Scrabble or Words with Friends? Be honest with me.
No, I don't play Words with Friends. Okay. I don't have friends. I play Scrabble.
Cheap knockoff Words with Friends.
Yeah. Scrabble's the way to go. Especially now that I'm hosting Scrabble, I have to say, no, I wouldn't ever go on Words with Friends. I may have looked at it occasionally when my drinking days, but now it's only Scrabble. But I will say that
you said you didn't drink when phones were existed. Now you're using a smartphone to play Words with Friends.
We played Scrabble in little huts in Scotland. All right, who's got the X? Wait a minute, pants is not a word. But what I like about game shows is that it's a world to itself. Do you know what I mean? Like all of the jokes, all of the riffing that you do, everything you do, it's all there. It's all happening at that point. So you don't have to make a joke about, I don't know, Katy Perry going to space or, Donald Trump or anything. Like, you don't have to do any of that. You just concentrate on what you're doing.
Yeah, so the 1% Club, which Joel McHale hosts the American version over here, and in Britain, God, I fucking know this guy really well.
1% Club in Britain.
Lee Mack.
Oh, he's terrific comic.
So Lee Mack does the UK version, right?
Right.
The whole time, you're just making, all the questions are, what number comes next in this sequence? It's all IQ questions. I'm making jokes about sequences and number orders and all that type of stuff. It's like, come and get me. Like, try and cancel me for a joke about a fucking,
I know. See, that's what I think about it too, that you can exist in that world and you can kind of relax like it's the old days. Let me ask you this about the special. Because obviously, I mean, I do specials as well. I'll probably do another one at the end of the year. And when you're out doing material, right? Like you're running up and you're getting it to, it's the size that you want. Do you keep in your mind, like, this is a good joke, but I probably shouldn't record it, or do you just not give a fuck?
Only to the extent that I've done some jokes that haven't aged well because they were time sensitive, although they probably killed for a couple of years, 10 years ago. Now you watch them and you go, what? And I'm even including like making a joke about Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, me too. I feel the same way. Yeah.
I don't want someone to watch it in 10 years and it's like me making Monica Lewinsky gags. You know what I mean? Like, So I'm mindful of that. Sometimes I look back on things and I think, oh God, maybe I shouldn't have said that joke. Maybe I shouldn't have said that joke because I'm just not a different person. I'm in a different place in my life, than I was then. But for the most part, no. Unless it's time sensitive, no. The most part, I just have a go. There's been a few jokes that I've done over the years that have never made the edit. I've tried to slip them in a few times and they just haven't. Like, each year I go, maybe this time I'll just sneak it on through.
Yeah. It's funny. What you should try having 10 years of late night sitting out there. Because every time I watch a documentary about something, then there's a whole bunch of people from late night and you're always in there saying something like, oh, fuck, I can't even remember saying it.
In saying that though, because that does happen. I always see that happen with Leno as well. Like they always go on. Then he was rude to Pamela Anderson back in the day and she might have felt blah, blah, blah. Man, did you ever come out good in that Britney Spears documentary?
Yeah.
You must have watched that and felt good about yourself that day. You would have gone, I was on the right side of history that afternoon.
You know what was funny? Because at the time I felt I thought I was going to get fucking fired.
Right.
I was like, well, I lost my fucking temper. What happened was I went and it was a Monday morning. She'd gone crazy over the weekend and she clearly had a mental health issue or something. You didn't have to be a dope.
Still does, I think. But, that's I'm not a doctor,
Right. And I'm not either. But I looked at what was the footage of her coming in like, this is someone who looks like a manic episode or some kind of weird shit going on. I'm not a doctor, but it didn't look healthy. And I walked in and the writers were all there and everyone was like, they're doing their jobs. They were all like firing jokes about, what she's in the writer's room. And I was like, I fucking got mad because I had turned 15 years sober that weekend. So I chucked them all out, except the one writer who was sober at the same time as me. I'm like, you and I are going to write this fucking monologue. We're going to do it because I'm fucked if I'm going to, I'm going to pick on this girl when this is happening.
She was like 26 at the time or something. She was quite young.
Yeah, she was young. She had a couple of kids, and she was clearly going through something.
I also think that and once again, I don't know, but I also think that when she shaved her head and she went through that manic episode, I think that there was a lot of. I think she shaved her head because she was probably getting drug tested. She was going through custody stuff and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, maybe, yeah.
Like you want to get a hair follicle off me? Good fucking luck. So if that's the case, more power to her.
You know, it's funny thing though. At that time in LA, I think you must be. Were you in LA at that time?
I believe that was just before I got here. I've been here
before?
for 17 years, so would that be around 17?
Yeah, it would just be. You would just be coming in. I'd be around about that.
Right on the cusp.
But it's funny because there used to be packs of paparazzi used to be everywhere. They used to follow. I mean, now there's no point because you get people with their phones. But
because the public are the paparazzi now.
Yeah, you don't need to hire paparazzi now. Everybody's a fucking paparazzi.
It used to be people got papped going into the venue and then they were free in the room. Now it's like you're not free anywhere. And so it's like I had a friend who came out to visit, a relative came out to visit, and they're like, where can we see some celebrities? And I'm in their homes? In their homes. That's where you can see them because there's not like the old days where they'll be down at the Viper Room having a good time. Those days are over. Those days are over.
Yeah.
And when was the last time you walked into a bar and saw an actual celebrity sitting there? There's no way with camera phones. It's over.
It's a long time. I even thought once you get even a little bit famous, that it fucks with your head. It made me paranoid as well. Not because people were always taking photographs of you. It's just that you think people are always taking photographs. So, like, if you're sitting in a Starbucks and you're like, I really want one of those cakes or something like that, and you have a cake, then suddenly you're like, you know, former late night host eats cake sadly in coffee shop or something. Like that.
Did you find once you became famous, it was much harder to complain at customer service?
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't complain anywhere because people will say, and this is the thing people say about famous people, that like they always say, like, if you run into I don't know, Ozzy Osbourne or you know, or Trump, people will say, were they nice? What were they like? Were they nice? And I'm like, I met him for 30 seconds. I don't know if he's nice. He was nice to me.
Yeah.
And people seem obsessed with niceness.
Do you find, I find that when people meet you, well, when they meet me, not you, I don't know when people meet you, but when people meet me, the look of disappointment when they look at you and they go, because you're always the oldest you've ever been.
Oh,
right? So they've just watched a special of you from 10 years ago and you've aged so rapidly in their eyes.
Yeah, I know. God. I see fucking clips of me on late night from, like, I stopped doing that show over 10 years ago. And I'm like, Oh my God, I've gained 50 pounds and I'm like, and I've got gels and I've got a hump. And it's like, I remember Carrie Fisher was a friend of mine. Did you ever meet Carrie?
I've got Carrie Fisher's stories that I could tell you off air, but the private. But Carrie Fisher was in my sitcom Legit. She was in it. She was in an episode where she was sexually harassing me. I could have Me Too'd the character, where she kept on asking me to lick her pussy, and she was just the best. She was
amazing woman.
This story I can tell you, right? So one time I'm on Kimmel. And I tell a story, and the footage obviously is somewhere. I tell a story about how my mother got deep vein thrombosis on a luxury cruise. Now, most people get deep vein thrombosis sitting in economy. My mother moved so little on a luxury cruise that she got put into the infirmary because she had deep vein thrombosis in her legs and couldn't enjoy the rest of the cruise, right? And I tell a story, my father went off and won Sexiest Man on the boat on a pool party on the side of the thing and won a T-shirt and came back and visited her, and his T-shirt said Sexiest Man. Anyway, so I tell this story. I'm doing Legit. It's day one with Carrie. We had 2 days with her, and she's sitting next to me in hair and makeup. My mother rings, and then she rings again. I'm like, all right, something's happened. You know, I got to pick it up. So I pick up the phone, and my mother goes, "You have to go back on the Jimmy Kimmel show and tell the American public that you're a liar." And I said, "Why? What have I done?" And she goes, "I didn't get deep vein thrombosis on the boat. I got it at home. It was diagnosed on the boat," right? And I went, all right, so let me be clear here, Mum. Let me be clear. You want me to tell people you got the disease, like the condition from not moving in your home, then you got diagnosed on the boat. That's your factual truth, right? And she's like, yes. And I get off the phone and I went, fuck. And Carrie turns to me and goes, "Your mother and my mother sound like exactly the same person." And I said, "Let me stop you there, Carrie. Your mother was Debbie Reynolds from Singing in the Rain.
In the Rain,
My mother's a morbidly obese woman who laid in a lazy boy for too long until she got deep brain thrombosis in the outer suburbs of Sydney. These are vastly different people.
It's funny though. Carrie said that thing though about when she got her photograph taken in the metal bikini when she was like getting captured by Jabba the Hutt. She said that thing, which I always thought was great. She said, I didn't know when I did that job that I was making a contract with the universe to look like this for the rest of my life. That, people would come up to her 40 years later and say, oh my God, you let yourself go and stuff. Like, it's 40 years later, it's like, or 30 years later.
That was one of the things. I was with Carrie and she goes, I can't eat too much. I've got to lose weight. And then I go, why? And she goes, next week I have to play a fucking princess. It was the last job she did before Star Wars. Yeah. And she was like, oh God, I got to be Princess Leia again. I always, that bikini is like every nerd's fantasy, isn't it? The Princess Leia bikini. But it makes you think like, okay, not Carrie, of course. What did Princess Leia have to do to Jabba the Hutt? Like, what was this slave? Because obviously that character was a sex slave to the slug. Yeah, there's a whole other mini-series in what happened in those 3 days, right?
I feel it's very similar to what the story I was telling you. When I was telling you earlier on in the podcast about what I did when I was a young man, when I was drinking, I feel it was a very similar situation, probably.
And Princess Leia never liked slug cock ever again.
Or even anything that tasted like slug cock. Let me ask you, are you still doing shows with Jimmy Carr?
Me and Jimmy, I'm flying out to, the answer is we have none planned. Hopefully we'll do some more in the future. We just did a whole tour of Canada together where the two of us were, head co-lining.
Right.
Co-headlining.
Co-headlining. I understood. Yeah,
head co-lining. Anyway, but I am going out in early August to see Oasis in the UK because I thought for some reason they wouldn't tour America at the time when the tickets went on sale, so I had to go see them. And so I'm going out, and me and Jimmy Carr are going to go see Oasis together. And it's funny because I go to Jimmy, I go, because I already had tickets, and he goes, oh, I'd like to go as well. And I went, oh well, we'll see if you can get you a ticket. Let's see if we can get you a ticket. And then because I'm so excited, and then Jimmy goes, he goes, I think I'll just ask Noel. And I'm like, oh, right. I forgot that Jimmy was fucking friends with everyone. So hopefully I get to go to the after party with Jimmy and meet Noel. That would be really cool. I've met Noel before and interviewed him, but I'm big fan of Oasis. But Jimmy and me, we did the tour. We were swapping the headlining spots, right? We're doing it in the round. So it's like one would walk on, one would walk off. And it's like being a boxer when you're going out the round because you have to walk through the crowd and everyone's high-fiving you and you're getting all pumped. The spotlight follows you as you walk through, And I was going on after Jimmy Carr I didn't find it difficult as such, but I did find that it was hard for me to offend an audience because he's saying far more offensive things than I'm saying, but he's doing it. He's legitimately just jokes. When you watch me, even though for the most part I'm joking, that you do watch me with an element. He could have done that. If I say
that's a story, that's based on real life. I get it. So I preferred to go on before Jimmy, and then as I said, I'd take an edible and I'd sit there and I'd watch Jimmy Carr tell his one-liners. It was one of the most wonderful tours of my life. We had a great time. He's a great. We got on one. I've told this story on a podcast before. We were. I realized how professional he was at one stage. We bought our own plane tickets, but. Well, the tour people bought our plane tickets, but we weren't always seated next to each other. We were with each other all day, just wherever you get in business class, you just watch your iPad or whatever. So he's sitting in the front row in the second seat. So he's in A2 and I'm in B1. So I can see through the crack of my seat what Jimmy's on his computer. And this is like 6 months ago. And on the top of his computer, it says jokes for 2026. Jesus.
Right? And I'm sitting there like, I haven't got a new tour after I recorded my special ready at this stage, right? And I look down at my iPad and I'm watching an episode of MASH.
I'm you. I mean, that's what I'm doing. Right. I'm watching a Hitler documentary.
Like how time sensitive is it that I have to watch this MASH episode right away?
I
right?
know.
And I thought he's a much more professional man than me, but he's always in the suit. He always wears in the suit. He's the most immaculately dressed up, all tailored to him. The suit. He's on the plane. He's in the 3-piece suit. We're in Canada, where all of his TV shows airs. He's hugely famous. Everyone is walking on. Oh, Jimmy. Like, hello. He's so nice to all of them. And then the person who sits in A1 next to him is a blind woman, right? She goes past him. She's completely blind. She's got a guide dog. She's, with the glasses, like cartoonishly blind, this woman, right? And she comes in, she sits down next to him, and Jimmy just waits for a second. This is all I hear. He turns to her and goes, "What breed of dog is that?" And she goes, it's a German Shepherd." And he goes, "Is that what they told you?"
Oh my God.
And she died laughing, and she didn't know who the fuck Jimmy Carr was. She just knew he was a really, really funny man,
He is a really, I only met him once. I'm a big fan of what he does. I think he really fucking carved his space, and I love I love that his fearless one-liner shit. It's unbelievable. I only met him once. I think it was Just for Laughs in Montreal. I was up doing something and he was there, and we had gone to see Dave Attell. Because for me, Dave Attell is kind of like, if you know, you know. Yeah, it's like the Velvet Underground or something. You know what I mean? If you know, you know. He's the
comics.
Comedian.
He's
Yeah. So I was watching Attell and Jimmy was there, and I talked to him for about, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. I thought, Jesus, you know who he reminds me of? Did you ever meet Don Rickles?
I was on a radio show with Dom Rick. I was on the Opie and Anthony show from Montreal. They were filming it, and it was me, Jim Norton, I think like Louis C.K. There was like 5 or 6 comics, and Dom Rickles came on, and he sat down. And I think it's the most quiet I've ever been on a podcast or a radio show in my entire life, because I thought to myself, I'm not going to speak up. Like, I'm not going to fucking cut over the top of this guy because I have a zinger. You know what I mean? Like it was, it was for a comedian, it was a meeting Elvis moment where I was like, fuck. And he came in and he just razzed everybody. And it was just like, he goes, "Hey, I don't do Tonight shows. Oh, I don't mind doing Leno. I occasionally have done Letterman, but I don't do Fallon because I don't play ping pong." Right? And it was just one of those things. I don't play ping pong because Fallon started bringing in all those games. Personally, I think it's quite fun, right? Yeah. But everything was like, it was quite cutting what he was saying, but it was also so disarming. No offense taken whatsoever. He said something to me about being Australian. I can't even remember what he said. I remember just being like floating around the area, just like going, wow, Dom Rickles is right there. So to answer your question quickly, yes, I have.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing that Jimmy Carr reminded me of Don, because I became friendly with Don Rickles because he was on the show. Like, we'd go out for dinner with him. The first time he came to a party at my house in Los Angeles, and he was like, it was in the hills, so there was like steps and stuff to get into the house. And he gets in, he was all kind of out of breath, and he was with Barbara, his wife, and he came over and he had a dollar bill rolled up and he tucked it in my top pocket of my shirt, and he went, "Here's a buck. Buy your wife a fucking house." I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, you can't live here. You can't live here. You can't live in all these steps. And he came in, and the place was teeming with comics and celebrities and all that kind of stuff. And everybody gathered around him like it was like, like he was the guru figure. He couldn't go downstairs or upstairs, so he sat in the front hall, and everybody just went there and gathered around him. It was awesome. He's an awesome guy. But Jimmy reminds me of him in the sense that I feel like, look, I only spoke to Jimmy for 20 minutes, but he has this super kind of, it's not aggressive what he does, but it has a real courage about it, and real kind of, it's a real kind of virulent stand-up. And then as a man, he just appeared to me as being this lovely, gentle creature, the way Don was.
He is Jimmy Carr's as nice a human being as you'll ever meet. I'm not just saying me, but for me, he's a person that I call if I need help, or
Right.
just advice from a person. There's very few people as grown men you call up and have advice with, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
I call Jimmy Carr when I need advice, whether it be in my personal life or my work life. And I'm very proud to say he's a good friend. Yeah, he's
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
He's been a great guy to me. I thought we actually worked together really well. Like those shows, we were selling 10,000 people to come and see the two of us. Where the two of us,
I would go and see that tour. I would definitely go and see you.
Individually, we were both selling about 3,000 to 4,000, and then together 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, but you know what it was? We were both edgy comics in the same vein that we're going to say off-color things. That our stand-up was so completely different that you had a good yin and yang to the show, but you were still getting the same vibe.
Yeah, I think that it is a good matchup. I remember seeing that you guys were out and thinking, I would actually, I don't go and see comics, but I would go and see that.
You know what? Because it was Canada, it was always a hockey arena, like the Rogers Arena. I have so many hockey jerseys in my wardrobe right now that say Jefferies on the back. And they're always very sweet when you get them. I'm always like, this is awesome. But you can't wear them because you look like, who puts your name on the back? A 5-year-old does that, like Jimmy, hey, on the back, and it's like you're a simpleton. So not that I don't watch ice hockey either, but I can't throw them out because they're major league hockey jerseys. You know what I mean? So I've just got them all piled up, ready to go. I've also got from back in the day. This is a bit of Scottish for you. When I was doing the Edinburgh Festival, the manager of Hearts was Jim Jefferies.
Oh.
Right. And I was at the Edinburgh Festival and I'd go on stage and there was a chant that they used to do to Jim Jefferies, the football manager, that was, cheer up, Jim Jefferies, oh, what can it mean? You're a great big fat cunt with a shithouse football team.
Yeah, that sounds authentic. Yeah.
And I was like, people were chanting that to me at gigs. I was like, what the fuck has happened? I just got to Scotland and everyone's calling me a fat cunt to the monkeys.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, Jim Jefferies came to the show with a few members of Hearts. Then they took me out to the stadium and they go, please welcome your coach. Well, they didn't do American voice, but please welcome your coach, Jim Jefferies. And I walked out on the pitch with a jersey and it was meant to be a laugh, but it was just lost. 90% of the people didn't know who I was. And then he came. Right. But there was a photo of him giving me the jersey. And he was a good dude, man. He was all right. I don't know where he manages now, but back then he managed Hearts.
Well, what you have to do is get all these jerseys with your names on them, and you should open a sports bar.
Yeah.
And then put them all up in your sports bar. And then have a no-camera policy, and celebrities will come in. Look, it's just an idea.
I think I should frame them, put them around my house, and then start telling my kids that they have to tell their kids and let the myth grow that I was good at every sport.
That's a great idea. I'm going to do that because I've got a lot of jerseys as well. You know that the only football games I've ever been to, well, this is a real Hollywood thing. The only football games I've ever been to are Super Bowls. I haven't been to a football game that isn't a fucking Super Bowl.
Oh, you never seen like soccer, football as we call it. You never gone to see football.
Well, I've got to see a lot of soccer, but I mean American football.
Okay. I've been to one American football game when I was in Kansas and they took me along. Which leads me to my next project. I am in a movie called Him, a Jordan Peele movie directed by the great Justin Tipping, who, check out this guy, he's going to be a great director. Marlon Wayans, Tyreek Withers. I have a small part in it. I haven't seen the movie yet, but it's like, you know, all those Jordan Peele Get Out movies.
That's a great movie.
It's one of those films, right? And it's all about American football and the concussions and stuff. I can't say much more about it yet, but
is it a horror movie?
I hate the term. It's a thriller horror movie.
All
like
scary.
Get Out.
It's a scary movie.
Yeah, Get Out and Us. It's in the same vein as the other movie, you know. But
really good movies.
But we were out in Albuquerque filming that, and I was doing. Okay, so I don't know if they'll show the footage of this ever, but they were doing, and because it's about American football, and I'm not anti-American sports. I love baseball, absolutely love baseball, and my son has gotten into basketball, so I follow the basketball as well now, right? But I could watch baseball all day. Anyway, so they're doing the interview for the behind the scenes on the movie. And the first thing was like, so what's your best memory of the NFL like this, right? And I went, yeah, I don't really watch it. right? I don't think it was the right answer.
No, it's
And they're
not.
like, no. And then they said this to me in the interview, and they go, so what drew you to play this character? And I went, well, I did an audition, and I got I'm not sitting around with scripts all around me going,
I know.
no. Like, I'm a stand-up comedian who got an acting job, right? Like,
No.
Like I'm not Brad Pitt. I don't get to choose my roles.
But people do talk like that all the time, though.
They do. I know whenever I watch them, they go, I always wanted to play a character that was a villain with a bit of depth and a this, that, and the other. When they say things like that, and you go, I haven't seen you in many movies at all, cunt. You just took the role you could get, mate. Yeah,
it's when you see the British actors, it's always posh British actors, and they're talking about, I always wanted to play sort of a character and I always think whenever I played a character in a movie, the reason I did it was because they offered it to me.
They offered it to me.
That was it.
I said I would have done this movie if it was bad. It just so happens that it's a really good movie, and I'm lucky enough to be in it. People always ask me in interviews like, do you think you'll do more sitcoms? Because, my sitcom was reviewed really well, but I haven't really done one since, And I go, that's like asking if I'll have sex with good-looking women. It's not my decision.
Yeah.
It's up to them. If one offers, of course, I'm a married man. I'm just talking hypothetically.
I understand.
But you get what I'm saying. It's like, it's not my decision. So I'm putting it out in the universe. I would very much like to be in more movies and more sitcoms. I'm waiting by my phone. In fact, it's in my pocket right now, ready to go.
I feel like that as well. It's the idea when I was younger, as a young stand-up. I don't know if the young stand-ups are like this now. I don't think they are quite so much. But when I was younger, you had to talk yourself up all the time. Like, I felt like I had to. I was always saying how fucking great I was, or how big the crowd was, or how much I'd killed, and all that. And I don't care about any of that anymore. And I think the younger stand-ups are probably okay a bit more. They throw crowd work up on social media and stuff.
I think their bragging is more subtle, but more in the mass, right? So,
really?
Well, they're putting up clips of themselves all the time. Yeah. We used to hold on to material. I don't want to get rid of something. And then I'd release a special, and then you'd starve the audience until you could feed them again, right? And if you want to see me, you have to do that, right? And then that's what the case. So you were saying about how big the crowd. There's a joke that applies to stand-up comedy. There was a comedian, and he was doing all right in the business. He'd made a bit of money, but he thought maybe if he just had the right push in his career, everything would be all right. So he booked out the O2, right? And he puts billboards up all around London. He puts billboards up everywhere, and he thinks people just need to know who I am. Once they see me, they'll know I'm one of the greats, right? And 12 people show up in this big arena. And the guy obviously has a terrible gig, and he dies, and then he gives up comedy. And then a couple of years later, one of his comedian mates see him and said, "What happened?" He goes, I did that gig at the arena, and only 20 people showed up, right? Like, we always lie.
That's the truth of it.
Yeah, even in failure, he couldn't say 12. He
couldn't say 12. I remember once doing a gig. I remember it was in Columbus, Ohio, and I was like the late night show was pumping at the time. I was doing great numbers and big theaters and all that. And then suddenly I go to Columbus, Ohio, and the theater, it was like a 2,000 seater, 1,200 seater, something like that. There was like maybe 250 people in it. And I was like, what the fuck happened? And the promoter said, there's a football game tonight. We didn't think that the local team were going to make the playoffs, but they did make the playoffs. And I was like, fuck. But I don't think about anybody else being in town when I'm in town, or a sports game or something being on.
You can't prejudge it. That happens every now and again. You'll go into a theater and only 200, 300, 400 people will show up, and you're like, what the fuck? I had one recently where I showed up at a casino, and they said, oh, you've sold 400 tickets. And I'm like, oh, Christ. And it was a 4,000 seater. And I'm like, that's going to look horrendous, right? And then I walked out. The place was packed, right? And I thought I only sold 400. And they go, oh, we gave everybody who'd who'd won, like had spent $200 gambling a ticket, right? They just wanted 4,000 people in their casino.
Sure.
Right,
yeah.
right. So I'm like, yeah, just do that every time, and don't even tell me the numbers. I just want to walk out there and see it and feel good about myself.
It's funny that though, that I nowadays, like I used to get a real charge out of doing stand-up, and now I still get a charge out of it, but it's weird now. It's turned into some odd thing. I kind of relax when I'm doing it now. It feels almost like an indulgence to go out and do stand-up. Like I'm really relaxed and I enjoy it, and I don't give a fuck. It's kind of great.
I definitely appreciate it now a lot more. I don't know if I'm as relaxed.
I think I'm in a bit of that too.
In fact,
yeah.
I think that I have to get to your stage where I'm actually relaxed, because I still worry about it going away, because I've been doing theatres now for 16 years, right? Theatres, and then 12 years before that, comedy clubs, right? And if you told me when I first started doing theatres, I'd still be in theatres at this stage. And the numbers aren't as high as my peak or whatever like that. But I do look at the audience, and people come up and meet me afterwards, and they're like, "This is the 5th time we've seen you," and I can't take that for granted.
No, I know. I do. I have this exact same thing. People who come up and say, "I grew up watching you on TV." I get that now as well. It's like, and they're like old.
So my audience used to be all very young, right? And now, about a few years younger than me, my audience used to be. Now they're all sort of a bit younger than me, my age, or a bit older, right?
Right.
I never had old people in my audience, but now I got kids coming, even though offensive.
I get that too, because of TikTok and clips and all that kind of stuff.
Blokes my age who have 15-year-old sons.
Bringing their kids.
15-year-old sons are like, "I'll bloody show you a comedian. Come and see this bloke. He says cunt a lot. He's a bit edgy. Don't tell your mother. We'll just come the two of us." You know what I mean? And so it's like they're bringing kids. And when Oasis get to America, even though I'm seeing them in England with Jimmy, I'm taking my 12-year-old son to see Oasis, right?
Sure.
And he's listened to the albums. He watched the Supersonic documentary, and they broke up 18 years ago. Like,
right.
My son doesn't even remember them ever being together. And I'm watching these two men who are in their early 50s, I believe, 52, 50, something like that. Early 50s, who it's like when my wife watches The Real Housewives of whatever, or Vanderpump Rules, or any of these reality shows where people all go talk and they're all not getting along and they're arguing with each other. I believe the Gallagher brothers, for men my age, has been a bit of gossip that we could all watch as men. You know what I mean? We're like, why can't they get along? And then I hear they're talking to each other again. Oh, I hear they went to rehearsal. And we had the same thing with Axl Rose and Slash. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Just we want these men to get along. And then part of the experience now is they're walking out hand in hand and grown men are crying because, I bet their mum's happy. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you turn into that type of performer, if your mum is happy. My wife has this theory that all stand-up comedians have the same mom. Which is, I'm going to run it by you right now. All right?
Okay, because I have a very exact mum. So, let's see how we go.
Cold with bad boundaries.
When you say bad boundaries, what do we mean by bad boundaries?
Or maybe calling you up and telling you had to go on Kimmel again to
yes. My mother was, my mother has shaped my entire life. My entire life, everything goes back to my mother and what my mother. I'm writing my biography at the moment, and every now and again, if I'm having a bad day, I'm really going her, and then I go back and then scribble out some stuff like, "Oh, no one needs to know that bit of information. That's private or whatever." But she was super mentally abusive, physically abusive. I used to get beaten, and she was. But there was something to her. I believe and my wife doesn't quite understand this. I credit a lot of my success to this overbearing, domineering woman who used to tell me that I'd be nothing. And because me and my two brothers, all three of us are successful. We all came from working class family, and so I think. Okay, so you've got in entertainment and sports, you've got like King Richard, so Serena Williams and Venus Williams' father, right? And then you've got Tiger Woods' dad, and then you've got Joe Jackson, right? I believe those three guys are very similar blokes, but it's all in the telling of the story. So you can say that Joe Jackson was an abusive man who beat his children, right? Michael Jackson's father, abusive man who beat his children, and no one says and got results.
Oh, I don't know.
Sure. There seems to be side effects later on in life that are really unpleasant. We don't want to go too far into this, right? But you don't get the Jackson 5 through positive reinforcement.
No. Do you know Keith Robinson, the stand-up?
No.
Keith is the guy who he did a stand-up special called Different Strokes because he had a stroke. Oh. And then he was amazing style. He was a great stand-up before, but he's had a stroke and he did it. I mean, it's amazing. His mother, he tells a story. His mother shot someone in a card game and they had to go on the run for a while. I was like, that beats everybody's mom, I think. No one can beat that.
My mother had Munchausen, so how about that for a doozy?
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's why we were always sick, and I can't speak on what my brothers had to go through, but we all had a different medical condition that happened to us. That was,
Munchausen by proxy. Yeah.
Well, you know what happened? My mother had polio, right? She did have polio.
Right.
So she had polio as a 13-year-old girl. Was in bed for a year and a half, almost died, and that's when everyone visited her. That's when people came to check on her. So she didn't just have Munchausen's for herself. My mother also spent about 2 months or about a month and a half every year in hospital. She would talk to doctors until she got put in with her condition. She'd be in traction for her back or there'd be some other reason. And, people with fucking real diseases are only in there for a few days. My mother would be in hospital for a month and then 2 weeks later on in the year type of thing, right? I always loved it when she was in hospital because everyone was nice to me. Everyone was like, oh, you poor boy, your mother's in hospital. I'm just sitting around eating buckets of crisps, watching the TV. Dad's off at work. That was heaven, mum in hospital. That was as good as it got. But
my mother was in the hospital a lot when I was a kid as well. It's funny that. Yeah. I think she was genuinely ill though. I don't know. Maybe she was pretty sick.
So I think she thought, we all visited my mum every day when she was in hospital. We had to go there for an hour and visit her.
Yep, and remember doing all that.
Yeah. And so I think that's when people showed her love or attention or something like that. And when she wasn't sick, we were sick.
Yeah.
And it became a very weird. And then growing up, the haze sort of goes down, and you go, "What the fuck was all that?" That was all. My mother also. She always used to be like, she wanted a daughter, right? Never had a daughter.
Right.
I was the youngest of three, right? And when I was born, I was the last roll of the dice, right? And I came out, and there was the penis. Not happy.
Right.
She didn't hold me. Right? Didn't hold me for a couple of days, and then didn't change the diaper, the nappy, for a couple of months, I believe, right? Because she didn't want to see the penis. Right up to the day she died, she never liked me penis, right? Now, I remember sitting there on the thing, and because she wanted a daughter, and she went to me, she goes, if you're gay, I'm all right with that. I said, oh, I'm not gay, Mum. I'm not gay. She goes, but if you were, she would have loved you as a son. Anyway, she goes, but if you are, that's fine. I go, but Mum, didn't you just throw out all those Playboys under my bed? Didn't you find those and throw them all out? And she goes, oh, I thought you put them there to put me off the scent. She could. Now let's go back to your mum. Why was your mum sick with? I feel terrible now. You said my mum was really sick, and I just glossed over it.
I think she was. She got sick all the time. When she was about the age I am now, a bit younger actually. She was in hospital. She had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She had some weird cancer thing. She had arthritis and all that stuff. And she was on a breathing machine, on a ventilator. And they said, the doctor went in and I come out. You come in and see my mom, and she was unconscious and stuff, and she was on a breathing tube. And the doctor said, "It's time for you to say goodbye to your mom. She's, around between half an hour and an hour, and we're going to take her off all the life support things and just stop." And I was like, "Okay." So then we all sat there and we all said goodbye to her, and they took her off all the life support, and she lived 15 more fucking years after that. She got better. It was crazy.
Okay. I have a similar story. I'm not trying to top your story. I can't top that story. Of course I can't top. I'm going to tell you, this is so creepily. Okay. I'm at the Edinburgh Festival. I'm halfway through my run. I'm having a career moment. Everything's going good. I get a phone call from my dad. "Oh, your mother's sick," right? Another one from my brother. "Oh, yeah, your mum's sick." And then the doctor says, "Yeah, she's not going to last long, mate. You got to get back," right? So I get on a plane from Scotland. I have to go Scotland, London, Hong Kong, Sydney, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you can't, there's no Wi-Fi on the plane. I can't turn on a phone. I can't find her. She might be dead. I'm sitting on the plane crying. Will I make it? Won't I make it? I get to the hospital. She's sitting bolt upright in bed playing solitaire on an iPad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And she's like, and then the doctor's like, "Oh yeah, spirits picked up when she heard you were coming." And I'm like, okay. But she wasn't like just a little bit not sick. She was fine. Right?
Yeah, better.
And I'm like, okay, fine. So then when my mother was dying, she died because her leg broke, and then they put antibiotics that got infected. Then they put antibiotics, and then her kidneys packed in, and then she asked not to be resuscitated. And it's meant to be quite a peaceful way to die. The kidneys, then this, and then that organ stops, and that organ stops, and then your heart stops in the end. And they said, "Oh, she has kidney failure. She could live with dialysis, but she's already old and she doesn't want to do that," right? So they're just going to let the kidneys go, and then she's going to die, right? And the doctor was the same. They went, "She won't last. She'll last about 24 hours," like this, right? And me and my three brothers were in the room. We went, "Well,
fool me once."
and when they told me she's dying, and I rang up my brothers and went, "Are you sure? It's a long flight."
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because I'll come back, but you've got to be positive about this. Anyway, so then they go, "No, she will die." And we're like, well, when I see it,
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah.
Anyway, when we were all around the bed, she took her last breaths, and then boom, she died. And then we all cried and we all hugged each other. And about 10 seconds later, she went, and then died again.
Yeah.
I'm like, and we all sort of stood over the body. We all stopped crying and went, "Get a doctor, make sure.
Jesus. All right, mate, we're done. Listen, it's been great talking to you. I feel like I really want to come and see you do some work. When are you doing some dates?
So where are you in the world? You're in
I'm in the East Coast. I'm in New England.
I don't have anything booked in the near future, but I'll let you know because I'm just about to do Europe and the UK.
I was going to do that, and I moved it to next year. I had to.
Yeah, I'm starting at the end of August, and I'm going all the way through to the beginning of December. So it's going to be a grind of a tour, but I've got I don't know if you know Andrew Maxwell opening for me, the little Irish comic who's
I don't know him, but
he's very, very funny man. We're doing I'm doing Zagreb and fucking like just places I haven't been before, like Istanbul and all this type of shit. So really interesting.
Istanbul's amazing. It is.
I've never been.
Place.
I've heard some good things. Me and Jimmy, even though we're not performing together, we're doing a festival in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, that's interesting. How is Jimmy gonna? How are you both gonna work it? I don't think have heavy censorship and stuff.
Okay, here's the other comedians: Bill Burr, Kevin Hart,
all right,
and Louis C.K.
Well, they couldn't fucking get anybody. That's ridiculous.
No, but my point is,
I know they're all
pick your cancel.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.